Hi, I'm Wayne Maguire and welcome to Property Success New Zealand. Selling property does feel transactional, but I know that true property success is achieved through relationships. And each week I'm going to bring to you the experts that I know who will help you achieve true property success. Telling us the secrets of property success this week we have Amy from Wealthworks, and she is sharing some tips about how to approach purchasing an investment rather than your home. We have Ben, who is from the Herald and shares the difference between passive and active buyers. We'll also go to an auction that I called in Parnell and we'll see what that sold for. Our guest expert this week is John, and he is from Drug Testing Services with some shocking statistics. Plus, Pat is here from Property Press with some historic copies of the Property Press with some mouth-watering prices going back to 1991. And our featured agent of the week is Ken from our office in Ray-White Mission Bay with some tips on how to approach an auction. That's all on Property Success New Zealand today. Well, our very first guest here today is Amy, and Amy is a financial advisor and also the owner of Wealthworks, which is here in Auckland, and that's a financial planning business. And Amy, from a financial planning perspective, what should people be thinking about before they even buy a property?
Yeah, look, I think one of the really important things for people to think about is why are they buying that property? You know, are they buying a family home or are they buying an investment property? Should it be an emotional decision or should it be a logical decision? Most people, when they're buying a family home, they're going to be buying a home probably in the area that they like. It might be close to where their friends and family are. They're going to like the colour of the kitchen and all those sorts of things. What is really important to think about is cash flow. You know, just because the bank says that they're going to lend you X amount of dollars doesn't mean that you need to spend that much.
So you start off on it, and certainly if it's a family home, it's going to be quite emotional. But yes, you do need to be cautious, don't you, about how much you borrow and where that places you in the future? Yeah,
absolutely. You know, it's a really good idea to sit down and run through a budget of what your living expenses are and your lifestyle expenses. You know, and have a look at how much disposable income you've got left at the end. You know, for some people, they're quite comfortable putting all of their disposable income towards their mortgage and their home. For other people, their lifestyle is a bit more of a priority. So, you know, they need to really understand the sort of life that they want and then tailor their home budget to suit.
So this is what you do with people. You'll take them aside and help them work through that process and get their thinking quite clear on that?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Do you find that people are aware that there is a difference in their decision-making process, whether it is the family home or in fact an investment property that they're looking to buy?
It's very hard for a lot of people because, you know, for most of us, when we buy our first property, that was our home. So it's all emotionally driven. Whereas if we're buying an investment property, for most people, we're buying investment property because we want to make money out of it. You know, so we need to think about what areas are likely to grow the fastest, you know, over our time frame. We need to think about what types of property and styles of property are going to, you know, suit the audience that we're probably going to be renting to.
Fantastic.
So it's very important to try to remove that emotion and think of it from a logical investment point of view.
And take it across to a ledger. So on our side, as we're selling, we'll see, you know, people very emotional about every aspect of the family home. But then I'm surprised sometimes they're carrying that over to an investment property and we're interested in the colour of the carpet or the kitchen. So they really miss the point if that's happening, haven't they?
Yeah, it is a very hard thing for people to try to differentiate between, but it is very important that we can differentiate between the two.
Now, the interest rates now are looking fantastic. So what should people consider when they look at today's interest rates?
Yeah, well, we do need to remember that, you know, interest rates right now, they're at an all-time low. You know, we're seeing interest rates in the low fours right now. The long-term average interest rate is 7.5%. But, you know, 5-6 years ago, we did see interest rates into the 10s.
Wow.
So, so, you know, if you're buying a property, it's a good idea to have a look at, well, if my repayment, or if the interest rates went up to 7.5%, you know, are my repayments still going to be achievable and sustainable at that point?
Yeah, can we survive? Can we hold on to the property? So I guess you're in some ways almost holding a person back a little bit so that they are safer, but they're in for the long term because property is long term.
Absolutely. I would urge everyone to get some professional guidance before they enter any big decisions.
Fantastic. I think that's really going to be one of the themes, which is make sure you do it right the first time, and you just don't do that by leaping in. You do that by actually slowing down a little bit and taking caution throughout all those transactions in real estate. And Amy, thank you so much. I think that's a great example. We're going to talk more as we go through our episodes and get more of a feel for the depth and the protection that can be put in place when you are buying. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you, Wayne. Cheers.
Thank you. So our next guest is Ben from the New Zealand Herald. So welcome, Ben. And today, Ben, I think you're going to explain to us why marketing is important and what role the marketing has in the sales transaction when somebody's looking to sell their home.
So when we first look at a marketing campaign, we'll look at the objective of the vendor. So
Sure.
There's two things. One, gaining the best possible price in whatever market that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, it's having the home sell in a suitable amount of time. So the important part of the marketing role is to expose the property to the depth of the market,
Sure.
but also engaging the passive and the active buyer.
Now this is interesting because I think most people have never come across that terminology.
Yep.
Explain that to us, the active buyer versus the passive buyer.
Okay, so in this equation, like the active buyer is the person that's online every night. He's trolling the net,
Sure.
looking for the property of his dreams or her dreams. The passive buyer is often the buyer that people leave out of the equation. Now that's someone that's maybe grown up in Browns Bay and there's a section that's always been available throughout their childhood. They've moved away. They don't drive past that section every night looking to see if it's for sale. Neither do they go online looking for it. But they're sitting there on a Saturday morning drinking their coffee and they're looking through the Herald and suddenly here's that section for sale. So suddenly they become, from a passive buyer, a very, very active buyer, but also
Gotcha.
very emotional buyer.
Okay, great. So you're saying the passive buyer to start with sees it,
Yep.
literally by accident, it is put in front of them.
Yep.
Then they engage, then they become active, but they're also emotional with it. And I guess we're all aiming for that as they go through the process of buying the house.
Absolutely. Like we often get emotional buyers paying the premium price. They turn up at auction day and they've already moved in their head. So it's a really key buyer that you don't want to miss out on.
Yeah, and I'm always, as the auctioneer, happy when you add more buyers into the mix. So, Ben, a lot of vendors, I think, when they're selling would see that marketing as being an expense. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so, and you can see from their perspective that it would seem like an expense, but when you understand the advertising and the benefits that it brings, the benefit that print brings, the benefit that online brings,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you understand that quickly turns into an investment. So through a really strong local strategy, through a really strong national strategy, now people aren't buying down the road from their parents and staying within 1K of their parents for the rest of their life. They're buying outside the area, so you need to have a national strategy, and for an international strategy, if required. It's pretty key. So when you've got all of them, your offline and your online are inline together, that's when the investment of whether it be 5 or sometimes 10 grand in a marketing campaign pays dividends. Because you're an auctioneer, how long does it take you to get 10 grand back?
Just like that, I think, really. So those $10,000 bids come through very quickly. And if you had a buyer for each 10,000, you'd be very, very happy, I think.
Absolutely. And for us, it's getting those qualified buyers to the auction and giving you those 10, 5, $2,000 bids. And it pays for your marketing just like that, as you say.
Tenfold.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic, Ben. Thank you very much. And I think there's a lot in there and some really great insights, whether it is now looking at, certainly we're aware of active buyers. We've now added passive buyers in. I think your comment there about getting your online and your print inline absolutely makes sense. And the recovery of that investment can be very, very quick as we go through, say, the auction process. So some very, very valuable tips.
Yeah.
Ben, thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks, Wayne.
Cheers. So sitting here in the studio is not my normal world. In fact, my world is with my sales team down in Mission Bay or across our network. But in particular, also at the front of auctions. I'm an auctioneer, and in a normal year, I'll call 500 auctions. Across the show, we're going to take you into those auctions. I'll give you some insights into what happens and maybe explain a few things that aren't quite obvious unless you know what's happening behind the scenes. First up, we have a great auction. It was one of our Parnell properties. We did it just on the weekend, and you're going to see a beautiful property full of people in the house, a great marketing program, and a fantastic result. So let's have a look at that now. So here we go, we're in Parnell. We've got about 2 minutes before we race inside and do an auction, expecting 2 or 3 buyers in there that will certainly put up their hand, and might be a little bit of work to be done on the price, but could actually go through straight to the fall of the hammer. If you see a pause, that just means that I still need to do a little bit of work, or I feel there's more money in the room and I'm going to have a chat to them. So I think we should race inside now and see how the auction goes. So buyers, let's get rolling with it. I appreciate your interest. I wish you well. Beautiful property and now in your hands, buyers, looking for your opening bid or offer. 2 million, happy to take your $2 million bid now. We'll just take 50s right from the word go. At $2 million now, look for the rise on that. Happy to take a $50,000 bid now. 2 I've got with my starter. At $2 million now, nice and easy in Parnell, and I call us away. $2,150,000, I hold it now. Looking for your bid, sir, and we'll be talking now. Otherwise, straight into it, buyers. There it is, 222 the bid. At $2,200,000 now, look for the rise on that. There's no bids, we're straight over here on this side of the room. At $2,200,000 now, for the one of a bid, I call 3 times. First call at $2 million. Second call at $2 million. Third, $2,200,000. Third and final, all done, all silent. First opportunity, second, third and final, $2,250,000. Got the quarter. 70 the bid, 70 it is now. Give me the nod now. 2,470,000. Still smiling, sir. At 2,500,000, we've got it there. Call 3 times. First call at 2,500,000. Second call at 2,500,000. Are we all done? All silent. 10. Not on the 30, is it? Or do we go stronger? $2,520,000 now. First call at 2,520,000. Second call. Third and final, against us, they've got it. We're all done, all silent. You know I'm still working. At 2,520,000, I pause. We'll step off to one side. Down there we do have an improved bid, which I'll now look to confirm in public. 2,620,000. Thank you very much. First call, second call, third and final, all done, all silent. We are going, sold. So here we go, we've now had the auction, we're back in the same spot, relaxing a little bit more than maybe 2 minutes before. Great result, so we sold under the hammer. The auction started at $2 million, and then you will see the bidding came up from there. Paused at $2,520,000, it stopped. So at that stage, in my process, I then take the buyer off to one side, have a chat to them, get them to improve their bid, and at the same time I'm talking to the owner to get their instructions. Are we on the market and where are we at? So we came back, we restarted the auction, $2,620,000. So we came up $100,000, and at $2,620,000 we're on the market and we sold, and the new owner is in there now drinking champagne with the current client, the old owner. So a great result and a very well run process on that property. So wasn't that a great auction? I really enjoyed calling that auction. I think the vendor really enjoyed the price on that. And as you saw, or as you're aware, the champagne was flowing. Now each week we'll bring you auctions and we'll debrief them, and I'll give you more and more insights so you can see what an auction looks like when the process is done extremely well. So we go straight from that exciting auction and we're back in the studio, and John is from Drug Testing Services. And John, I know we're going to be talking about property, but you also do drug testing in the workplace of people, I guess, employees and employers, I guess.
Yes, that's correct. We do workplace drug testing, mobile, pre-employment in the office.
What are you finding? People, are they positive? Are they negative? What are you finding?
You're finding quite a reasonable amount of people that are on drugs.
Really?
Correct. 1 in 5 for general drugs like THC, codeine, prescription drugs, etc.
1 in 5 positive.
1 in 5
wow.
positive. Yeah.
Now, and today we're talking more about P, and we're going to talk about P in property, but P in the workplace?
Yes, there's a lot of P in the workplace. A year ago, we were finding probably 1 in 135.
Wow.
Currently, it's running at 1 in 30.
1 in 30. Wow. Look, people just wouldn't realise that. 1 in 30. Now, if we take that into property, what are you finding when you go in and you test a property? And when do you come in to do the testing?
Okay, most of our testing's pre-purchase inspections.
Sure. Yep.
So we are run by prospective buyers to go and do an inspection on a property that might be coming up in an auction.
Yep.
And we go in and we do our presumptive testing, and it's an instant test that we put down on a strip.
Cool.
Tells us whether the property is contaminated or not, and usually we can tell with 4 strips on a average 3-bedroom house.
So you'll know if there's been, and I think you've got great detail there too, because you can tell if it's been cooked there or smoked. Is that right?
Normally we back that up with a laboratory swab, and it's called a confirmation laboratory swab. And in that laboratory swab we include all the precursors to the manufacture of methamphetamine.
Yep.
That tells us if it has been manufactured on the property or just smoking.
Just smoke there, yep. And frequency, I don't know if you've got numbers, but how often is a house coming up positive? And is it just one area of town, or is this across?
No, it's very generalised.
Wow.
It can be in your multi-million-dollar homes down to your state house type property.
Gotcha. So if people are doing this as a pre-purchase inspection, it makes you think straight away, what about tenants and what about landlords? Are you getting involved at that end of the market, or that part of the market?
Yes, we are. Yes, quite a few landlords will do pre-tenancy inspections and post-tenancy testing.
So check it before they come in, check it when they go out, then you know what's happened?
Exactly.
Okay, great. Well, look, John, I'm amazed. I had no idea that that many people would be affected by drugs in the workplace, and in particular P. It's something that just wasn't on the horizon for us previously. When we always cautioned somebody to have a builder's inspection, we never thought about a drug inspection. And now I think it's just something that you just must do before you buy a property if you're going to move your family into it. And John, obviously it's a service that everybody should be considering and getting now. Is it very expensive?
For the pre-purchase inspection, no. You're only talking $300 plus GST.
Well, how easy is that if you're going to move your family in there? Yeah. What are the dangers, and you spoke about the children, what are the dangers for families if the house is contaminated?
If the house has been contaminated, particularly with a previous clandestine lab, it can make people very, very sick. It's usually what stirs along the test.
And then for the house that's been contaminated, what do we do? Can you repair it?
Yeah, most houses now, we're getting very smart at decontaminating houses. Years ago, a lot of them were being bulldozed.
Wow, okay.
Now it's, in some cases, just removing wallpaper and spraying behind the walls afterwards.
It's going to depend on the degree of contamination.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So, John, sometimes when you walk into a house, can you tell straight away that there's a problem here?
Absolutely.
And how can you tell?
Usually you'll get watery eyes or a cough very quickly.
Wow. Hey, John, thank you so much for sharing those numbers with us and for the job that you're doing out there for families and for people. Thank you. So our next guest is Pat Houlihan from the Property Press. And Pat, you're the general manager, you're well known throughout the industry, but I guess if somebody has their house in there, they won't have met you. And today we're going to have some fun and go through the evolution of the Property Press and maybe the Central Property Press.
Well, it's lovely to be here, Wayne, and I'm very excited to share the history with you and the viewers. And we've had a great time over the years. Property Press was originally formed by Barry Coleman, who a lot of New Zealanders will know. Yep. He was a journalist who became an entrepreneur, went on to, after he had started and cranked up Property Press in New Zealand, he went on to buy the National Business Review and various other things. Your viewers might know him from Dragon's Den program, where he and some other well-known New Zealand entrepreneurs made a name for themselves. But in any event, so it's just grown from there. We now have 13 editions around New Zealand, and it's a fantastic readership. The readership now, just measured last month, is 804,000 readers per week.
Per week.
Massive readership.
And I think a lot of people in the market, if I'm selling my house in one part of town or New Zealand, you may not be aware of those other property presses that are out there. So I think that's, as we go through the episodes, we'll have a chance to pick up on that again and show owners how they get more value out of the property press, maybe the one even outside of their area. But the one we have in front of us, that is the Central Property Press?
Yes, it is. fascinating case study. The Central Property Press we started in 1991, so it's now 24 odd years old, and we'll have a look at, with fascination at this is the very first edition of the Central Property Press in the format of the day, which is generally black and white on newsprint with a little spot colour around the outside for added visual impact. So here we have volume 1, number 1.
Wow.
There we are on February
The very
7th,
first one.
February 7, 1991. So in this edition there were 16 pages, all black and white as you can see, and there they go. So we progressed from there through, we introduced colour around the outside. We got really cool and what year are we? 1997, put a gloss cover on it.
Gloss cover on the top. Yep.
Again, black and white, mostly newsprint on the inside, and then a full cover for a listing on the front cover. Here we are again, 1999.
And that's looking more familiar now, isn't it, as we get
is,
closer to where you've got to today?
It is.
Now, can we go back and can we just have a look at some of the prices in there? Because I think everybody's
we
going to be
certainly can,
amazed.
yeah.
And that's our patch, and I already see some houses and apartments in there that look familiar.
There's some Greenland Grammar Zone, 349,000. Royal Oak, 148,000. So fascinating price difference.
St Heliers, 450,000.
Yeah, that's in 1991. So
Wow.
it's there's been a lot of movement since then. Own Your Own Castle, 595,000.
Well, you can't buy a castle for $595 today, can you?
You certainly cannot. Not in this area anyway. No.
Very progressive with the style and the service that comes with the property press to the person selling their house.
Yep, it's what we've tried to do is we've tried to understand the real estate sales process.
Gotcha.
I run a publishing company, but most of our staff are deeply immersed in the real estate profession, and so we understand what it's like for a home seller going through the emotional experience of selling their home. So we've tried to make the presentation, lovely presentation of homes, as affordable as we can, so that the owners can get maximum exposure for their advertising dollar.
And part of creating that and making that affordable, I think your distribution has changed over time, hasn't it, across the central areas? And it's different in different areas?
Yes, there is. Of the 13 editions, Wayne, about half are home delivered, the other half aren't.
Gotcha.
A good case example of the Central Property Press, we used to home deliver 60,000 copies of this, but to put a few simple numbers on it, our biggest edition ever was in March 2015. We had an edition of 332 pages. It was a massive
Wow.
thing. Each copy weighed 1.14 kilos. Now, to put a number on this, the distribution people were a mix of youngsters and retirees wanting exercise. Each copy weighing 1.14 kilos. The average distribution area is 250 homes. So here we have, just numerically, we have youngsters trying to deliver 285 kilos of property presses, and which is
it's
impossible.
just not going to work, is it?
It wasn't
It's not gonna
possible.
work.
So in this instance, we suspended home distribution, and we distribute them now through curbside boxes, and they're in the banks and restaurants and all over the place.
And outside our real estate office, obviously, so you can come and
certainly
get it there. And Pat, just finally, also, it's not just now in print either, is it?
Oh, certainly not. No, propertypress.co.nz has got every edition across the country. Benefit of that is that if you're in Dunedin and you're interested in a property, say in Palmerston North, you can look at the Manawatu Property
Fantastic.
Press. And also, they're online a day before the printed copy comes out.
So if I can't wait till Thursday to come out and grab one, I can see it online Wednesday night.
Wednesday, you're going to see the
There we
Central
go.
Property Press.
Well, that is just fascinating, and I think we're going to have a little bit of fun later going through some more of these prices in here. But Pat, thank you very much. Interesting to see. This is how you get your property into the market, and as we go into more detail, you'll see how you get your property into more markets as we go. Pat, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
So our next guest is Ken, and Ken is the #1 salesperson in our office, which is Ray White in Mission Bay. Ken, look, I know that you're a fantastic salesperson. You've been Rookie of the Year with our business as you've come through, and you make some incredible sales. But now, can we share with people how you not only sell, but how you get a great price when you sell a house? What are your secrets, Ken? What are you seeing in the market? What are you doing?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here, Wayne. I strongly believe it happens right from the very beginning, where a buyer would 99 out of 100 times ask you the same questions. What's the price range in your opinion? What do you think the house will sell for? I believe the trick is to be able to encourage or motivate the buyer to come and have a look at the house themselves, and then determine what they're willing to pay for the property. Because
straight away off that inquiry, you're trying to get the people engaged in the property, and I guess you can't guess the property at the price at the beginning, but once you know their emotional involvement with the property, then we see how much they would pay for it. I guess you're bringing people through opens and private inspections?
Yeah, absolutely. Emotional experience, which is certainly going to determine the price at the end of the day. Starts from when they step in through that door. We try to tap into the human senses. We light up a candle. We offer them chocolates at the door. We greet them with a smile. Sometimes we even play music, which we think is agreeable to everyone as well.
They're trying to pick music that suits the audience.
That's the hard part.
Through you. And tell me about the chocolates, because I know I enjoy your chocolates as I come through your opens. They're very good, aren't they?
Absolutely, yes. We use some Ferrero Rochers. Some people even follow me to other open homes saying that they're here just for the chocolates.
Just for the chocolates as they come along. Fantastic. And then once you've got them engaged on the property, you're then working through, what steps do you have with the buyer as you take them forward to, say, auction day, if it is one of your properties and it is an auction?
Absolutely. We do everything we can to assist the purchaser. Being on the other end, very recently, personally, I experienced what it was like. It was very frustrating not knowing what the price is going to be. But we certainly allow the buyers to come back and visit as many times as possible. We even provide them a bit of buying tips and what to expect, how to react at auctions as well. Which,
if you're thinking about selling your house, it's now looking and saying, what is the process? What are those little steps that you're doing to mean that the buyer is ready to go on the day? And the buyer coaching is something that is completely different, isn't it? What's the response to buyers that have been through that?
It's perfect. Most of the buyers, we've had situations where buyers didn't even win on auction night, but rang me a week later thanking me for all the tips that we've shared, because it certainly helped them buy the next auction they were at.
Fantastic. So I guess behind that, if you're thinking of buying, then you can talk to Ken. You'll get all those tips on how to be more competitive at the auction, gives you a better chance. And obviously, if you're a vendor, that's what you're looking for, is the buyers are there and they're active and they all have a crack at the property, that opportunity to be the owner. So Ken, I know you're an expert at this. Your success rate of selling your properties you take to auction is running around 97%. So you're doing a fantastic job with the buyers, so they get the coaching. And certainly for the owners, what you're asking for from the agent is deliver the buyers that turn up and actually do the business. So both parties there are very, very well looked after. Ken, would you have a tip or a couple of tips maybe for buyers coming to auction?
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite simple. You start early, you bid strong, you bid confidently, and at the end of the day, don't show your competition you are approaching your budget.
Fantastic. So early, confidence, and don't show them that you're about to run out to the limit, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah, fantastic. Well done, Ken. Thank you very much. Well, I'm Wayne Maguire. Thank you for sharing your time with myself and our experts this week. And we'll be back again to share more tips and more insights to property success in New Zealand on our next show.